All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving deep into a seriously high stakes topic, one where far too many ASN A level accounting students literally throw away easy marks. We're talking about the purpose and limitations of a trial balance. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I know what a trial balance is, but this explainer is going to walk you through an incredible source that acts as a literal examiner's masterclass. We are going to reveal exactly how to stop dropping your grade over minor, totally avoidable missteps. So let's get focused.
So I want to pose this exact question to you. Why is evaluating evidence and drawing conclusions so hard? Really think about that for a second. You might know your debits from your credits flawlessly. You might be able to balance a T account in your sleep. But when it comes to those high tariff 9 to 15 mark questions, suddenly everything feels a bit murky. Well, you're not alone. This isn't just some random question. This is the specific, #1 pitfall identified time and time again by Cambridge principal examiners. Students consistently struggle to cross that bridge from simply stating facts to actually evaluating the evidence.
And that brings us to the core promise of today's session. To quote a top subject specialist from our source material, I'm going to show you exactly what examiners look for. Okay, let's dive into this structured methodology so we can actually start seeing the exam paper through the eyes of the person grading it. This is how you win the game. Quickly, here is our roadmap for the session. 1. The trial balance trap. 2. Mastering core cognitive domains. 3. The step-by-step methodology. 4. Critical analysis and evaluation. And 5. Principal examiner warnings. Section 1. The trial balance trap. Look, the phrase context is everything sounds super simple, almost cliche, right? But it is absolutely the #1 reason candidates fail to reach those top marking bands. Examiners clearly report that generic textbook-style answers completely fail in these exams. If you just write down a perfectly memorized list of the limitations of a trial balance, the errors of omission, errors of commission, things like that, but you don't link them to the specific business scenario in the prompt, you are walking straight into the trap. The examiner doesn't want a textbook definition. They want to know how that error affects this specific business. Context-specific application is the foundational key to unlocking high tariff questions. Don't forget it.
Moving on to Section 2, Mastering Core Cognitive Domains.
Okay, so the assessment objectives for this topic explicitly target 3 distinct cognitive domains. You have your knowledge and understanding, that's your basic recall, then your analysis, breaking things down, and finally, your evaluation, making judgments. Now, to be a truly successful candidate, you can't just rely on that first one. A lot of students do that. They just dump all their knowledge onto the page. But you must actively demonstrate competence across all 3 of these domains simultaneously when you're tackling those longer responses. It's like a giant puzzle, and you need all 3 pieces to finish it. So how do examiners actually measure that competence? Well, they use specific academic benchmarks. They are looking for logical, structured reasoning and systematic analysis. But here is the absolute golden rule, the secret sauce. Analytical depth is prioritized over superficial breadth. What does that mean? An examiner would much rather see you take just 2 limitations of a trial balance and analyze them deeply, unpacking them with solid evidence-based reasoning. That is way better than superficially listing 5 or 6 limitations with 0 explanation. Literally, stop listing things. Depth is what unlocks those top-tier marks. Section 3. Let's move to the step-by-step methodology and see how this builds. When you're in the exam room facing these complex questions, our source recommends a very strict, standardized sequence. First, deconstruct the question. Underline the command words. Know exactly what is being asked. Second, extract the relevant data from the stimulus materials. Third, execute your analysis, and do it with clear, legible notation. Fourth, verify your results, always double-check. And fifth, present it all using the correct accounting terminology. By showing clear working and using proper formats, you aren't just doing math. You are developing essential professional skills that examiners heavily reward. And that sequence we just talked about, that is the backbone of the method mark strategy. Basically, process equals points. Systematic processing is everything here. Data interpretation skills, meaning your ability to extract numbers from dense texts and tables and interpret the actual relationships between them, are absolutely critical. Here's a huge tip. Even if your final calculated number is slightly off because of a minor arithmetic slip, if you execute this standardized sequence with clear working, you will secure those crucial process marks. The examiners want to see how your brain works.
And this brilliantly illustrates our fourth section, critical analysis and evaluation.
Okay, before we unpack this absolutely critical difference, I want to take a quick second. If you are finding this deep dive strategy helpful and you want to master these Cambridge exams, you need to subscribe to the Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A Levels channel right now. Seriously, hit that subscribe button at @acetheexam_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss a weekly exam hack. All right, back to the hardest part of the exam. Let's contrast lower-level descriptive answers with top-tier evaluative analysis. A descriptive answer just tells the examiner what a trial balance is. It's flat. An evaluative framework, however, demands so much more. It requires identifying similarities and differences. You need to use comparative connectives like whereas or on the other hand. You have to support each point with evidence and ultimately deduce the relative importance of your findings. It's all about successfully comparing different approaches and actually justifying your recommendations. That is how you get the highest marks.
When you're evaluating evidence to draw those conclusions, you have to acknowledge the quality metrics. Just look at this table. First, are there constraints or limitations to the data? Identifying that fact reduces certainty, which actually shows excellent critical thinking on your part. Second, are there assumptions being made? Well, pointing that out shows you understand it introduces risk. And third, are there alternative interpretations? Bringing those up shows you know they require justification. Explicitly identifying these three metrics in your writing directly elevates the validity of your conclusions in the eyes of the examiner. It proves you're thinking like a real accountant.
Which brings us to Section 5, the Principal Examiner Warnings. Pay close attention here.
All right, here are the top 3 rapid-fire mistakes sourced straight from actual Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. These are where your peers are losing marks. Number 1, candidates constantly confuse cause and effect when discussing trial balance errors. They get backwards what caused the error and what the result is. Number 2, in the rush and panic of the exam, candidates forget to check their format and presentation, totally throwing away easy professional marks. And number 3, we've talked about this, it is the most fatal error, providing generic, memorized answers that are entirely disconnected from the specific context given in the question.
So the crucial point is captured right here in this ultimate examiner alert. Always link every point to the given scenario. I cannot stress this enough. This is the golden rule. The source emphasizes this so heavily. If the prompt is about a struggling retail business, your analysis of the trial balance's limitations must specifically mention the risks to that specific retail business. Context is the ultimate key to full marks. No context, no top marks. It's that simple. To make sure this procedural framework actually sticks in your brain, the source material suggests a brilliant memory hack. Create a custom mental mnemonic using the first letters of key trial balance terms and the steps of the methodology we just covered. So whether it's trying to remember the types of errors that don't affect the trial balance or memorizing the 5 steps of the method strategy, building your own personal acronym is hands down the best way to lock it in before exam day. Give it a try. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. If your next exam asks for justified recommendations based on a trial balance, would your answer rely on safe, generic facts, or would you step up, use what we learned today, and deliver a rigorous, context-specific evaluation? Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, elite strategy. It doesn't happen by accident. If you want to keep mastering these frameworks and stay ahead of the curve, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A Levels channel. Turn on the notification bell right now for future exam hacks, and definitely leave a comment below telling us your target grade. Go practice those past papers, apply this methodology, and let's make it happen. See you next time.